Lesson 3.3. Our learning target today is I can identify rate of change and slope. Our essential question is how do you find the slope of a line using the formula? So we have one new vocabulary word today, and that is the slope formula. This is the formula for finding the slope of a line between any 2 points in the coordinate plane. So those 2 points are locations x1, y1, and x2, y2. So the x1, y1 just represents the first point or the first ordered pair, and then the x2, y2 represents the second point or the second ordered pair. So what I want you to notice is what you do with the coordinates from those ordered pairs. So what's happening is on the top of the fraction, you take y2 and subtract y1 on the top of the fraction. Then on the bottom, it's x2 minus x1. Remember that our slope, we said the slope is rise over run, or the change in y over the change in x. So you can see that in the formula that we're subtracting the y coordinates to find the change in y and subtracting the x coordinates to find the change in x. All right, our first example says find the slope of the line that passes through the points 3, 6, and 4, 8. What I always recommend is that you label your ordered pairs first. So we have 2 ordered pairs. They each have an x coordinate and a y coordinate. You can pick which ordered pair you want to be your number 1. So I'm just going to label the one on the left with my 1s and the one on the right with my 2s. It's totally up to you how you want to do that labeling. Just make sure that you have x1 with y1 together in the same ordered pair and x2 together with y2 in another ordered pair. So now my slope formula is m equals y2 minus y1. So on the top of my fraction, y2 minus y1. So that would be 8 minus 6. And then on the bottom of the fraction, it's x2 minus x1, so 4 minus 3. Simplify the top of the fraction, and you get 2. The bottom, and you get 1. 2 divided by 1 is 2 in simplest form. So we don't have to graph the ordered pairs and count the slope. If you're looking at a graph of a line, it's easy to count rise over run. But if you're given 2 ordered pairs, it's a lot easier to plug it in the formula than it is to draw the graph and count the slope. Our second problem, xy for each ordered pair. And again, pick one to be the first, the other to be the second. So our slope equals y2 minus y1. So the top, subtract your y's. So this one is 4 minus negative 2. And then subtract your x's, negative 6 minus 6. The subtraction sign here, the subtraction sign is always part of your formula. So you see my subtraction signs here. So be careful when you're simplifying. 4 minus negative 2 actually turns into a plus. If you subtract a negative or take away a negative, it turns into a plus. And then on the bottom, negative 6 minus 6 is negative 12. So this is positive 6 divided by negative 12. That fraction reduces. You can divide both of the numbers by 6. And 6 divided by 6 is 1. 12 divided by 6 is 2. And I would prefer to have my negative sign on the top of the fraction instead of on the bottom. So negative 1/2 is my simplified answer for this one. Example number 3, xy, first ordered pair, xy, second ordered pair. So m equals, on the top of my fraction, 3 minus 3. On the bottom, 7 minus 1. 3 minus 3 is 0, and 7 minus 1 is 6. Remember, when 0 is on the top of your fraction, your answer is 0. This would be a horizontal line if we drew a graph. Next one, xy, 1, 1, xy, 2, 2. So our slope equals y2 minus y1, 2 minus negative 1. And then x2 minus x1, 7 minus 7. So 2 minus negative 1 turns into 2 plus 1, which is 3. 7 minus 7 is 0. Now, because the zero's on the bottom of the fraction, this one is actually an undefined slope. If we drew a graph, the line for this one would be vertical. Straight up and down vertical means the slope is undefined. Our next example, xy, first order pair, and xy, second order pair. y2 minus y1, 4 minus negative 2, and on the bottom, x2 minus x1, negative 3 minus negative 7. 4 minus negative 2 turns into 4 plus 2. Negative 3 minus negative 7 turns into negative 3 plus 7. So 4 plus 2 is 6. Negative 3 plus 7 is 4. 6/4 reduces because they're both even numbers. So divide them both by 2. And you get 3 halves as your simplified answer. Next one, xy, first order pair, xy, second order pair. Hopefully you're able to try some of these on your own. So slope equals y2 minus y1, 1 minus 6, x2 minus x1, 2 minus 9. 1 minus 6 is negative 5, and 2 minus 9 is negative 7. What happens when you're simplifying this one? The two negatives, when you divide two negatives, it equals a positive. So even though there isn't a common factor to divide 5 and 7 by, we can simplify by just removing the negative signs. Because if you're dividing two negatives, it turns into a positive. So you would not want two negative signs in your fraction. All right, you should be able to write a summary now, answering the essential question, how do you use the slope formula to find the slope of a line? So your sentence starter could be, to find the slope of a line using the formula. And then finish that sentence describing what your steps are.